The saga surrounding Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is a cautionary tale of how quickly a seemingly perfect Hollywood collaboration can unravel, leaving behind a trail of accusations, leaked text messages, and a media frenzy that no one could have anticipated. What began as a promising creative partnership between two of the industry's most beloved figures, Blake Lively, the radiant Hollywood darling with a pristine reputation, and Justin Baldoni, the heartfelt director known for crafting emotionally resonant projects, descended into a public feud that has left fans, executives, and even co-stars scrambling to make sense of the fragments left behind. This story is not just about a film or a creative disagreement. It's about power, perception, and the fragile nature of reputations in an industry where the line between truth and narrative is often blurred. At the heart of this controversy is a project that initially seemed like a match made in creative heaven. Justin Baldoni, celebrated for his ability to tell stories that connect deeply with audiences, was eager to adapt a novel that promised big emotional payoffs. Blake Lively, with her charm, nuanced performances, and a career built on both comedic and dramatic roles, seemed like the ideal lead to bring this vision to life. Early interviews were filled with mutual admiration. Blake gushed about the profound nature of the project, while Justin praised her dedication and quick wit. On paper, it was a dream team, a director and actress whose combined talents could elevate the film to something truly special. But as the production progressed, whispers of tension began to surface. Crew members noticed small but telling signs of friction. Offhand remarks, a stiff moment during a scene where Blake curtly responded to Justin's direction with her own ideas, and odd glances she shot him whenever he received praise for a script. These moments, seemingly insignificant on their own, began to add up, hinting at a deeper rift between the two. By the time real problems emerged, the fuse had already been lit, and the fallout was inevitable. The first major crack in the facade came when entertainment outlets began publishing stories about Blake Lively's on-set attitude. Overnight, tabloids labeled her as demanding and aloof, accusations that starkly contrasted with the affable persona she had cultivated over the years. The public reaction was immediate and divided. Fans who had adored Blake for her comedic roles, philanthropic work, and seemingly down-to-earth personality were torn between disbelief and concern. Some insisted that she could do no wrong, while others speculated that there must be some truth to the rumors. The narrative was shifting, and Blake found herself at the center of a media storm. In response, Blake fired back, accusing Justin Baldoni of planting these negative headlines to pressure her into creative decisions she didn't support. She hinted that he was using his directorial clout to monopolize coverage, effectively painting her as the problem so he could maintain control over the production's narrative. Her statements landed at a critical moment, just as social media was exploding with debate. Many pointed to the broader systemic issue of male directors overshadowing female leads, ignoring their input, and then labeling them as difficult when they stood their ground. For a brief moment, it seemed like Blake had the upper hand, with public sympathy leaning in her favor. But Justin Baldoni was not about to let the narrative spiral out of his control. In a move that stunned the industry, he released a slew of unredacted text logs that spanned from the project's earliest days to the final weeks of shooting. These weren't carefully curated snippets designed to make him look good. They were raw, unfiltered conversations that painted a very different picture of their working relationship. The logs revealed a director who continuously sought Blake's input, asking for her perspective on everything from costume tweaks to set designs and scene alterations. He apologized whenever scheduling or overlooked details caused her stress and made efforts to accommodate her availability. Far from the controlling, dismissive figure Blake had described, Justin appeared to be a collaborative and considerate director who valued her ideas. More intriguing were the references to My Circle and Dragons in Blake's messages. Fans and insiders speculated that she was alluding to her husband, Ryan Reynolds, a comedic superstar with significant Hollywood clout. Some messages implied that she could unleash these dragons if Justin refused to align with her creative agenda. It was a dramatic turn of events, and it raised eyebrows across the industry. Was Blake threatening to overshadow the film or direct negative coverage at Justin if she didn't get her way? the public reaction shifted almost instantly. People who had initially championed Blake began to question whether she had engineered a smear campaign, spinning the media narrative to her advantage. The controversy took another shocking turn when Blake's attorney abruptly resigned. High-profile lawyers typically handle controversies behind the scenes, carefully shaping public perception. They don't generally step away with cryptic statements about their clients' stories diverging from the documented facts. The legal community was stunned, and speculation ran rampant. Some believed the lawyer had discovered contradictory evidence that weakened Blake's claims, while others hinted at a conflict of interest or internal disagreement. Whatever the reason, the message was clear. Not even Blake's own legal counsel wanted to be associated with a fiasco that was spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni maintained a steady, almost apologetic tone. He reiterated how unfortunate it was to see a creative partnership unravel and framed the release of the text messages as a last resort to defend his reputation. His subdued but earnest approach gained him even more goodwill, and the tide of public opinion continued to shift in his favor. Then came the seismic shift that still has the industry talking. Blake Lively quietly packed her bags and vanished. She canceled promotional events for another project, wiped her immediate calendar clean, and reportedly boarded a private jet with only a few close associates in tow. There was no press release, no official explanation, just a swirl of rumors about her potential whereabouts. Some believed she was fleeing potential legal consequences, worried that Justin might sue for defamation or that the studio might press charges for contract violations. Others theorized that she couldn't handle the relentless media onslaught and sought refuge in a European hideaway to regroup. A handful of her diehard fans insisted that she was simply taking a mental health break, well within her rights after the avalanche of stress. Regardless of the reason, her departure sent a clear message. She was done facing the music, at least for now. Paparazzi swarmed international airports trying to spot her, but sightings were rare. One lounge employee claimed she seemed guarded, wearing sunglasses indoors and avoiding any wave or smile. The drama surrounding her flight overshadowed the entire project's potential, and headlines shifted from Blake and Justin's feud heats up to Blake Lively flees the country, practically overnight. In the midst of the chaos, attention also swung toward Ryan Reynolds. If those cryptic references to dragons were indeed nods to him and his circle, how deeply was he involved? Ryan, a comedic megastar known for his playful banter online and heartwarming stunts with fans, had never been associated with covert PR tactics or behind-the-scenes manipulation. Yet the logs Justin released hinted that Ryan's influence was never far from the conversation. Some messages implied that if Justin pushed Blake too hard, she would involve Ryan to shift the narrative. Though no text explicitly stated that Ryan was launching a smear campaign, fans and critics alike questioned whether he had used his star power in more insidious ways. Meanwhile, TJ Miller, who had once been at odds with Ryan over unrelated disputes, began speaking out about how he had long suspected under-the-table tactics. Initially, people dismissed TJ's claims as sour grapes, but when Justin's logs echoed certain points TJ had made, the puzzle pieces began to snap together. TJ, though never fully exonerated from his own controversies, felt vindicated. It looked like a pattern of strategic press leaks was indeed in play. Hollywood thrives on drama, but even so, this fiasco rattled many insiders. Producers who had queued up future projects for both Blake and Ryan started voicing concerns behind closed doors. Studios prefer stars who play well with others, especially when budgets run high and reputations are on the line. If the leaked messages and attorney's resignation were any indication, dealing with Blake might now be viewed as a risk factor. Fans, for their part, found themselves torn. Some refused to believe Blake could be at fault, pointing to possible missing context in Justin's receipts. Others were outraged, convinced that she had manipulated an entire production to bend to her will. Still, others expressed pity, contending that she had endured so much negative press that fleeing was a perfectly human response to a nightmarish situation. Within Justin's production team, there was a distinct sense of relief. Several crew members admitted they had felt suffocated by the toxic rumors painting Justin as a villain. In private conversations, they confided that while the filming schedule was demanding and creative tensions flared, nothing merited the media meltdown that ensued. Justin's decision to lay out the entire text history had freed them from silent frustration, and at last, the public saw what they had witnessed day to day. Hollywood fortunes can shift overnight, and this story illustrates that truth like few others. Blake Lively, a name once synonymous with charm and comedic timing, found herself embroiled in a swirl of exposed text messages, legal breakdowns, and an abrupt relocation that the press continues to interpret in every possible way. Her flight, coming right on the heels of Justin's bombshell receipts, seems to many like a tacit admission that she had no immediate defense. But is that the entire truth? Perhaps she's genuinely overwhelmed, battered by media scrutiny, and felt leaving the country was her only chance to preserve a shred of privacy. Maybe she's holed up in a tranquil retreat, planning to address these controversies on her own terms once public sentiment stabilizes. Or it could be part of a grander plan, a strategic retreat before an orchestrated comeback when new evidence, if any, surfaces. Justin Baldoni, for his part, insists he wants closure, not revenge. He's still pushing forward with the film's final edits, determined that audiences see the heartfelt adaptation beneath the cloud of scandal. While he acknowledges disappointment that events spiraled so wildly, he seems resolute in defending his name and the production's integrity. Cast members have echoed that desire, praising his willingness to handle the tension calmly instead of fueling further tabloid fodder. Ryan Reynolds remains in an uncomfortable spotlight, fending off whispers that he either aided or even orchestrated the drama. So far, his public statements have been minimal, leaving fans to wonder whether his silence is protective or incriminating. If his comedic brand was once bulletproof, it's now riddled with questions. Did Ryan quietly help shape negative press about Justin, or was he simply an innocent bystander in Blake's personal battle? As for TJ Miller, he stepped back, at least for the moment, allowing the avalanche of Justin's receipts to confirm what he had alleged all along. He expressed relief that facts are finally on public display, though the satisfaction is bittersweet. Watching a big-name couple potentially unravel in real time isn't exactly a triumphant moment. While the dust hasn't settled, one thing is certain: the cautionary tale of star power gone awry resonates throughout the industry. Contracts, trust, public image. Once these pillars crack, it can be nearly impossible to rebuild them overnight. The question looming over everyone's head is whether Blake will attempt a grand re-entrance after some time away or slip into a more permanent retreat until a new scandal sweeps this one off the front pages. Hollywood adores reinvention stories. Stars who face scandal often manage big comeback acts. Perhaps Blake will, too, if she finds a compelling way to address the allegations. Yet the scale of Justin's documented evidence might make that uphill climb steeper than most. Fans are not soon to forget the allegations of a behind-the-scenes power play. Studios will be wary, having seen how quickly hush-hush creative differences can explode into career-threatening PR nightmares. Only time will tell if public sympathy rediscovers Blake or rebrands her forever as a Machiavellian figure who manipulated coverage. Perhaps in a few months, she'll offer her own curated perspective, pointing to the mental toll of these swirling controversies or claiming her words were lifted out of context. Some watchers see this as an opening for real conversations about the intense pressures women face in entertainment. Could she pivot the narrative toward that angle? It's not impossible. For now, though, all eyes remain on a woman who's gone silent and a director standing firm behind reams of text logs. One vanished in the night. The other is left to pick up the pieces of a film overshadowed by scandal. Each day, more speculation floods social media. Sightings of Blake in a secluded European villa, rumors about Ryan meeting with top-tier lawyers, hush-hush clues from anonymous staffers. Yet beneath every rumor sits the same question: can Blake return from this unscathed? Or did she, in her haste to steer the narrative, push things so far that even her star power can't fix the damage? Whatever the next chapter, this meltdown reminds everyone that in an era of digital receipts, truth is harder to bury, and illusions are dangerously easy to shatter. One moment, You're the charismatic lead in a sure-to-be-hit adaptation. The next, you're a fugitive from your own reputation, with fans and critics alike glued to every morsel of gossip in search of answers. So, will the real Blake Lively emerge to set the record straight, or is the curtain closing on a once-beloved icon who fled just as the final spotlight fell? Only time, and perhaps the next wave of revelations, will tell. As the story continues to unfold, there's always more to discover.